Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take your sources, your notes, all that research, and really unpack it for you. Give you the key takeaways without, the overwhelm.
Boiling it down.
Exactly. And today, we're diving into something pretty universal. How to set goals, and maybe more importantly, how to actually achieve them.
Right.
Whether it's like a big life change or something specific like getting better at English, it's a struggle lots of us know.
Oh, absolutely. And the material you shared, it covers a lot from the basics of setting goals to some really interesting psychology behind, well, why some people seem to nail it and others just get stuck.
Yeah.
If you've ever had that big goal, started strong, full of excitement, and then just felt it all fizzle out, you're definitely not alone. And the sources suggest it's often not about like a personal failing. It's more about not knowing how to set goals effectively, how to work with your brain.
Right, not against it. So our mission today, using the material you've given us, is to hand you some practical tools, grounded in while understanding, so you can finally bridge that gap between dreaming about something and actually, step by step, making it happen.
Yeah.
We'll unpack what goals really are, common mistakes, frameworks like SMART, which is super useful, the whole motivation and habit thing.
The why behind it?
Exactly. Different goal types, building an action plan, getting support, tracking wins, dealing with those frustrating times you feel stuck. And yeah, some inspiring stories too.
Think of it less like a lecture, more like we're exploring these ideas from your sources together,
Yeah.
finding the bits that can really make a difference for you.
Okay, let's jump in. What are we actually talking about when we say goal? Because the sources, they make a really key distinction right at the start. Goals versus, say, wishes or intentions.
Yeah, it sounds simple, but
Yeah.
getting this wrong trips a lot of people up. It's foundational.
Right.
So the material we look through defines a goal as something specific, something measurable, an outcome you're actively working towards, and crucially, within a defined time frame. It's concrete. It's got a finish line you can actually see, and you can track yourself moving towards it, not just a vague hope or a feeling.
So it's not just direction. It's like a map and a clock attached.
Exactly that, yeah.
Yeah.
It turns a big idea into something you can actually do. And that's where it really splits off from just dreams or intentions.
All right, let's dig into that difference a bit more. The sources lay it out pretty clearly. A dream first. What's that?
A dream is, the big vision. I want to speak English fluently. Classic example. It's inspiring, sure, it gives you a general direction, but it doesn't tell you what to do on, like, Monday morning. It lacks the how.
Okay. And an intention, that feels a bit closer to action, maybe?
It does, yeah. An intention is more like a commitment you make, often about your attitude or a value. I intend to make time for English every day.
Right.
That shows you're willing, you're focused. But it still doesn't quite have the specifics, the structure to make it happen consistently, especially, when life gets hectic.
So the goal is where the rubber meets the road. The dream gets focused by the intention, and then the goal makes it concrete with a plan.
That's it, exactly. It's translating the vision into actual steps, timelines, measurable progress. It answers those vital questions. Exactly what am I doing? How? By when?
Yeah.
And how will I know if I actually did it?
Yeah, the example from the sources makes this super clear.
Right.
Dream. I want to improve my English. Big picture. No real plan.
Vague.
Intention. I will make time to study English every day. Commitment. Yeah, but no specifics.
Still fuzzy.
Goal. I will learn 20 new English words every week for the next 3 months and review them every Friday. Now, that's specific. Action, measure, timeline, even a review process.
See the difference? That last one gives you clear instructions. Learn 20 words, when, every week, how long, 3 months, review, Friday.
Yeah.
That structure, that's where the power is.
Yeah.
It breaks that huge improved English dream down into small, manageable bits you can actually do.
Yeah.
Without that, you just stay stuck thinking or intending. With a clear goal, you move into doing.
That makes such a difference. It's like thinking I should eat healthier. That's the intention. Versus planning, I will make a salad for lunch 3 times this week. That's the goal.
Right.
One feels kind of vague, like an obligation. The other's a specific task you can tick off.
And this applies perfectly to learning. Practice English every day. Great intention. But it can feel overwhelming if you don't know what to practice.
Totally.
Turn it into watch one English YouTube video from a native speaker every Tuesday and write down 3 new phrases. Now that's a goal you can actually achieve.
And what's interesting is the point the sources make. Goals don't have to be these massive leaps. Often, it's the smaller, consistent goals that build real momentum.
Absolutely. Setting a small, achievable goal and hitting it.
Yeah.
That gives you an immediate win. Builds confidence, makes you think, okay, I can do the next small thing too.
Like climbing a mountain.
Right.
You focus on the next camp, not just the summit miles away.
Exactly. Each small goal achieved is like securing a base camp.
So, bottom line, a goal is making a specific commitment to a specific action with a time frame, turning the fuzzy into the concrete.
And that clarity plus consistent action, incredibly powerful.
Okay, so we know what goals are now, how they're different from dreams. But why do they matter so much? What do they actually do for us, especially when we're trying to learn something like a language?
Well, the most fundamental thing, according to the material, is direction. Imagine being dropped in a big city, never been there before, no map, no GPS.
Yeah, lost.
You can wander around, walk for miles. Right. But if you don't know where you're going, you're just burning energy, not actually getting anywhere specific.
Right. It's the difference between just being busy and actually being productive. Like listening to random English podcasts is activity, but listening to a specific one with the goal of finding, say, 3 phrasal verbs, that's focused progress.
Precisely. Goals channel your energy. They turn scattered effort into intentional steps. And this leads right into the next point, motivation.
Motivation. The thing everyone feels they need before they start.
Right. But the sources kind of flip that idea on its head. They argue motivation often follows clarity in action.
Interesting. So you don't wait for it, you generate it.
Exactly. When you have a clear goal, your brain gets the why. It sees the target. And that clarity itself actually feeds motivation. You stop wondering, what should I do? And exactly, this is the specific thing I need to do now.
Like that example again. Practice English every day. It feels heavy, vague, but learn and use 5 new English expressions in conversation this week. That's a clear mission, a mini quest.
And when you achieve that mini quest, or even just try to use the words, it feels like progress. Motivation isn't just random luck. It's built by taking those small, directed steps. And this is so crucial for language learning, which really needs that consistent, intentional practice over time.
Yeah, without a goal, daily practice can feel like you're just, treading water. Slow, maybe invisible progress, frustrating, but with a clear, small goal.
You start seeing the results of your effort. You track the new words, the conversation you attempted, the paragraph you wrote. Seeing that tangible progress, celebrating those small wins, that's the fuel.
Right.
It makes the whole learning process feel more personal, more rewarding, and frankly, much more effective.
So connecting it back to the big picture, having goals stops that feeling of just drifting or being overwhelmed. It helps you prioritize your time, your energy, makes choices clearer. Does this help my goal? Yes or no?
And there's another benefit that often gets overlooked, self-trust. When you set a goal, even a tiny one, and you actually follow through, you build this internal reliability.
Like proving to yourself you can do what you say you'll do.
Exactly. Okay, I said I'd do this, and I did. I can count on myself. And that feeling, it compounds, builds the confidence and resilience you need for the bigger challenges down the road.
So the takeaway here is pretty profound. If you want real progress, visible progress, stop waiting for motivation to strike. Start with clarity. Set a clear, specific, manageable goal, because that direction is what actually kicks things off.
Direction leads to movement, and movement builds momentum. You just need that first purposeful step.
What's really cool, and where the sources get quite deep, is the psychology behind all this. Goal setting isn't just, a productivity hack. It actually taps into how our brains are wired.
Oh, totally. Let's talk about dopamine. We usually think of it as the pleasure chemical, right?
Yeah.
But the sources explain it's more about anticipation and motivation linked to seeking and making progress. Your brain releases dopamine not just when you hit the finish line, but also when you feel like you're making progress towards it.
Ah, so that little buzz you get when you tick something off your list or realize you understood something new, that's dopamine saying, hey, this is working. Keep going.
Precisely. It's a reward signal for moving forward. And this is a huge reason why specific, measurable goals with clear, achievable steps work so well. They give you those constant little progress markers, triggering dopamine boosts that keep you going. Vague goals just don't have those clear points, so there's less of that neurological pat on the back when the initial excitement fades.
This internal reward system really drives building new behaviors, and it loops right back to that motivation point we were just talking about. The material really pushes back against waiting for motivation.
Yes, it's that slightly counterintuitive idea. Action creates motivation. When you take even a tiny step towards your goal, your brain registers it, sees potential progress, gets that little dopamine hit, and that makes you feel more motivated to take the next step.
It's a cycle.
A self-reinforcing cycle. Action, perceived progress,
Yeah.
dopamine, more motivation, more action.
So the trick is making that first action small enough that you just do it. Get the cycle started, learn one word, write one sentence, listen for 5 minutes, just start.
And because motivation can be, well, unreliable, we all have off days, that's where habits become your superpower. The sources really emphasize habits as your automatic pilot. They take effort to build at first, sure, but once they're ingrained, they run almost on their own. Your brain loves them because they save mental energy less deciding what to do.
Like that classic cue routine reward loop they describe. The cue might be seeing your English textbook. The routine is opening it and studying for 15 minutes.
And the reward could be that feeling of accomplishment, ticking a box, or just that internal dopamine buzz from making progress.
Repeating that loop strengthens the connection. Eventually, the cue just triggers the routine automatically. You don't waste willpower deciding anymore.
And the dopamine reinforces the whole loop, making it stronger and stronger.
So tying this all together, understanding the psychology shifts your focus. You stop relying just on willpower, which runs out, and start building systems, cues, and habits that make doing the right thing almost automatic.
And one last point the sources touch on, which is really profound, is identity. As you consistently take action, even small actions, towards a goal, you start to subtly change how you see yourself. You shift from being someone who wants to learn English to someone who's learning English. And eventually, maybe, to I am an English speaker.
So your actions actually shape your self-image. If you consistently act like someone who studies, who practices, who makes progress, your brain starts to believe that's who you are.
Exactly. So the powerful takeaway here is your brain rewards progress. Don't wait for motivation. Act to create it. Build habits for consistency. And trust that your actions aren't just building skills, they're shaping your identity.
It's not about being perfect or having infinite willpower. It's about understanding your own brain and setting things up for success.
Absolutely. It's working smarter, not just harder.
All right, we get what goals are, why they're key, the brain science. But let's get practical. What kind of goals should you actually be setting? The sources point out that knowing the different types of goals can really help you optimize your approach.
Right. They break it down in a few useful ways. Short-term versus long-term is a big one. Then process versus outcome goals. And also thinking about personal development goals alongside skill goals, like language learning.
Okay, starting with short-term versus long-term. Short-term goals are like your immediate targets, right? What you want to nail in the next few days, weeks, maybe a month or two.
Yeah, exactly. These are your quick wins, the things that build momentum. Think, I will learn 15 new English words about my job this week, or I'll finish all the listening exercises in Chapter 5 by Friday.
Close enough to feel urgent and doable.
Long-term goals are the big picture stuff. Where you want to be in 6 months, a year, maybe longer. I want to give a 10-minute presentation in English without notes within a year. Or pass the B2 exam by next summer.
Gotcha, the big vision.
They provide that overall direction, the North Star. But Honestly, they can feel overwhelming if you don't break them down. That's why the short-term goals are so vital. They're the steps on the ladder to that long-term vision.
Makes sense. Okay, next distinction, and this one feels really important. Process versus outcome goals. Outcome goals focus just on the final result.
Yeah, squarely on the end game, like get a perfect score on my next English test, or get that promotion that needs fluent English. They're motivating, sure, because they represent what you ultimately want.
Right.
But, as the sources point out, they're not always 100% in your direct control. External stuff plays a role. How hard the test is, who else is going for the promotion?
Right, so that's where process goals come in, focusing on the actions you take regularly.
Exactly. I will study vocabulary for 20 minutes every morning. I will practice speaking for 10 minutes with my language partner 3 times a week. I will write 1 paragraph in English about my day every evening.
Things you can control.
Precisely. You control whether you do the studying, the speaking, the writing. These build the habits and the skills.
And the insight here seems to be, if you focus on nailing your process goals consistently, the outcome goals often just happen.
Often, yes. The outcome goal sets the direction. The process goals build the reliable engine to get you there. Using both together gives you inspiration and a practical path.
Okay, and finally, thinking about personal development goals alongside skill goals like language learning. Personal development is more about who you want to be.
Yeah. Who you want to become through the process. Like, I want to be more resilient when I make mistakes, or I want to be more patient with how long this takes, or I want to build self-discipline through consistent practice.
Focusing on mindset, character.
Exactly. And these actually underpin your ability to achieve the skill goals. Becoming more confident, for instance, directly helps you practice speaking more.
And skill goals, like learning English, are about the specific abilities. Write professional emails fluently, understand movies without subtitles, the tangible stuff.
What's really powerful is seeing how they all connect. A personal goal like become more confident helps you stick to the process goal of speak regularly, which builds the skill for the outcome goal of have a fluent conversation, supporting the long-term goal of use English for my career.
Wow, okay. So the best approach, based on the sources, uses a mix. Have a compelling long-term outcome goal, break it down with short-term goals, focus daily action on process goals you control, and maybe reflect on how the journey is helping you grow personally.
Yeah, it ensures you're not just chasing a result, but building sustainable habits and, well, becoming a stronger version of yourself along the way. Goals aren't just for doing more, they're for becoming more.
Okay, defining goals. Understanding types, that's one part. But making them actually happen, that's where things often go wrong. The source material points out some really common, sometimes subtle mistakes people make right from the start.
Oh, yeah. The most frequent one. Setting vague goals. We touch on this, but it's so common it bears repeating. I want to get better at English.
The classic.
It's a nice thought, but it's an action vacuum. No target. How do you know if you're better? What does better even mean for you?
It's like saying, I want to get in shape. A trainer needs specifics. Lose weight, gain muscle, run faster. What exactly? Vague goals just lead to vague effort, and then, surprise, vague results.
Exactly. So, like the material says, make it specific. Instead of get better at writing, try write 1 English paragraph about my day every evening for the next 30 days. Clear task.
Okay, mistake number 2, lack of a timeline. Even if your goal is specific, if there's no deadline, it just floats in someday land forever.
I want to read an English novel. Great. Which one? By when? Without that by when, other stuff always seems more urgent. That novel just sits there.
Right.
It lacks that little bit of pressure, that urgency that makes you actually schedule it and do it.
Adding a deadline, even if it's flexible, turns someday into by the end of this month or before my holiday, creates a commitment.
Number 3, unrealistic expectations. Getting excited and aiming super high feels good initially, but setting goals that are just impossible given your time, energy, or current level, that's a fast path to feeling discouraged.
Like saying, I'll study English 8 hours a day when you have a full-time job and kids.
Yeah, you're setting yourself up to fail almost immediately, and then you feel bad about yourself, not the unrealistic goal.
It's totally counterproductive. The sources really emphasize achievability. Can you realistically see yourself doing this consistently? Start smaller than you think you need to.
Mm-hmm.
30 minutes of focused study done consistently is way better than aiming for 3 hours and quitting after 2 days. Realistic goals build success. Unrealistic ones build frustration.
A good test the material suggests is asking yourself, can I actually see myself doing this specific action every day or every week for the next, say, 2-4 weeks? If you hesitate, scale it back.
Good rule of thumb. And the fourth trap, linked to that psychology stuff. Lack of tracking. Even if your goal is specific, timed, and realistic, if you don't track your progress, you lose that crucial feedback loop.
You don't see how far you've come, you don't know what's working or what's not, and importantly, you miss out on those little dopamine hits from seeing yourself move forward.
Right.
When you don't track, your effort feels invisible. It's easy to think you're stuck, even when you're actually making progress.
Thinking about James from those stories, we'll get to struggling with speaking confidence. If he just vaguely tried to speak more, he might not notice the small improvements.
Yeah.
But if he tracked his practice sessions, maybe noted how long he spoke or one new phrase he managed to use, he'd have proof of progress.
Tracking makes the invisible visible, turns effort into results you can actually see and celebrate. Whether it's a simple checklist, a journal, an app, just make your progress visible somehow.
So, to dodge these common mistakes, be specific, add a timeline, make sure it's achievable, realistic for you, and track your progress. Those 4 things can make a huge difference.
It's all about setting yourself up to win right from the start. And thankfully, there's a really neat framework that helps you do just that.
Which brings us perfectly to one of the most popular frameworks out there, and for good reason, SMART goals. It basically takes all those concepts we just discussed, specificity, timing, tracking, realism, and bundles them into a handy checklist.
Yes, SMART. It's a great acronym that guides you through defining your goal so it actually has the clarity and structure you need to take action and track it. If I want to improve my English is the fuzzy starting point, SMART is like the focusing lens.
Okay, let's break it down. S is for specific. What exactly are you trying to do? Who's involved? What resources? The clearer, the better, right?
Right. Instead of get better at listening, a specific goal is more like listen to one 20-minute English podcast episode for learners every morning during my commute. That nails down the what, podcast type, length, the how, listen, and the when, commute.
Much clearer. Okay, M is for measurable. How do you track progress? How will you know when you've actually hit the goal?
Well, using that podcast example, you could just track it by ticking a box each morning you listen. Simple. Or if the goal was about comprehension, maybe it's listen to one 20-minute podcast and write a 3-sentence summary in English. The summary length is measurable.
Yeah, or like Maria in the story, aiming for a 5-minute conversation. That's measurable.
Exactly. A is for achievable. We'll talk about this. Realistic expectations. Is the goal challenging? Yes, but not so crazy that it feels impossible right now. Aiming to read a Shakespeare play every week might not be achievable if you're just starting out with English reading. But maybe read one chapter of an intermediate level graded reader every week that's much more realistic. Sets you up for success.
Achievable isn't about being lazy. It's about being smart about your current reality.
Right. R is for relevant. This is the why. Why does this goal actually matter to you? How does it fit into your bigger picture, your values?
So it feels meaningful.
Yes. If your long-term dream is traveling independently, then a relevant short-term goal might be learn and practice 20 common phrases for directions and ordering food by next weekend. It directly helps that bigger dream. Relevance fuels that internal motivation.
Got it. And finally, T is for time-bound. Your goal needs a deadline, a specific date or time frame.
I will learn the irregular past tense forms of 30 common verbs by Friday evening. The time frame makes it concrete, adds a bit of urgency, gives you a target to aim for, and helps you plan the steps leading up to it.
Okay, putting it all together, a SMART goal for English could be something like, I will write one email in English, specific, of at least 150 words, measurable, to my language exchange partner, relevant, every Monday, time-bound, for the next 4 weeks. time-bound, making sure it takes no more than 45 minutes each time, achievable.
That's a solid SMART goal. Clear task, way to measure it, seems doable, serves a relevant purpose, communication, and has clear deadlines. It structures your effort beautifully.
So think SMART. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Applying this framework, based on the sources, is probably one of the best first steps you can take.
It forces that clarity and really sets the stage for action.
Now, building on that psychology stuff, the brain rewarding progress, acting based on belief. The sources also talk about using mental tools, visualization, and affirmations.
Yeah, this might sound a little out there to some, but it's actually grounded in how our thoughts influence our feelings and actions. Visualization is basically mental rehearsal.
Like picturing it in your head.
Vividly picturing yourself achieving the goal or doing the steps needed. The sources explain that when you visualize something, like confidently giving that presentation in English, your brain activates many of the same neural pathways as if you were actually doing it.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's like preparing your brain and body for success. Athletes do this all the time, mentally running the race, making the perfect shot, over and over.
So you can use this for learning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Close your eyes, imagine yourself speaking confidently with someone, understanding a tricky conversation, writing that email easily. Focus on the sights, the sounds, how it feels to succeed.
So it's not just daydreaming, it's like building belief.
Yeah.
Making it feel more possible.
Exactly. It reduces that feeling of the unknown, makes the goal feel more attainable, which then makes you more likely to actually take the steps to get there.
It complements the actual practice, doesn't replace it.
Right. It's a powerful addition, keeps your focus sharp, reinforces the positive outcome. Maybe do it for just a minute or two before you practice or before an English meeting.
Okay. And then affirmations. These are like short, positive statements you repeat.
Yeah, exactly. They're designed to counter that negative self-talk we all do and reinforce the beliefs you want to have about your abilities and progress.
We all have that inner critic, right? This is too hard. I'm bad at grammar. I always freeze up.
Those thoughts create doubt, make you hesitate. Affirmations are about consciously swapping those out for supportive statements. Simple things like, I am capable of learning English. My English is improving every day. I speak English clearly and confidently.
Do you just say them in your head?
You can say them out loud, write them down, repeat them when things feel tough. They might feel a bit fake at first, especially if they don't match your current reality perfectly.
Yeah, I can see that.
But the sources suggest that repeating them consistently helps reprogram your subconscious over time. Makes those positive ideas feel more like the truth.
You could even make them specific to your goal, right? Like if you're working on phrasal verbs, I am learning and using phrasal verbs with ease.
Exactly. Affirmations declare who you're becoming. So you combine visualization, creating the mental picture, with affirmations shaping the inner voice. Together, they create this positive internal environment that really supports your external actions.
And the material suggests just weaving this in simply, like a minute of visualizing in the morning, repeating an affirmation during the day.
Yeah, maybe a quick reflection in the evening. Minimal time, but potentially a big mental shift. Your brain's always listening. Your imagination's powerful. Your words matter. Picture it. Speak it. Let that fuel your action.
Okay, so you've got your SMART goal. You're visualizing using affirmations. But goals don't just happen. You need to connect the goal to the actual daily grind, which means you need an action plan.
Absolutely critical.
Oh.
As the sources say, a great goal without a plan for how to get there is often just a well-described wish. The key is breaking it down and scheduling the steps.
Back to the mountain analogy. The SMART goal is the peak and the deadline. The action plan is mapping the route, the camps, scheduling which bit you climb each day.
Perfect analogy, first step.
Sure.
Break that big goal into smaller, doable tasks. If the goal is give a 10-minute presentation in English in 3 months, the steps aren't just practice presentation.
No, too vague.
Right. There are things like outline the presentation, research vocabulary for the topic, write the script, practice section 1 for 15 minutes, practice section 2, combine and time it, practice with slides, record myself and review. See? Tangible tasks.
Okay, makes sense. Then you schedule them.
Yep. Look at your week, decide when you'll do each specific task, put it into your calendar, treat it like an appointment you wouldn't miss. That gives it real priority.
So a weekly plan might look like Monday research vocab 30 minutes, Tuesday write outline 45 minutes, Wednesday practice section 1 15 minutes, or just a daily list. Morning listen to podcast, evening write 5 sentences using new words.
The core idea here is consistency over intensity. Small, regular actions build momentum that's hard to stop. The plan makes sure those small actions actually happen.
The sources also mention using tools, right? Tech.
Yeah, leveraging technology. Language apps like Duolingo or Memrise, flashcard systems like Anki, note-taking apps, even product management tools like Trello can help organize tasks, track progress, make it more engaging.
And mixing it up. Not just doing the same thing every day.
Definitely. Build in variety. Don't just drill flashcards. Mix in reading, listening, speaking practice, writing, maybe some grammar work. A good plan should reflect a balanced approach to improving all the skills.
And importantly, be flexible. What if life gets in the way?
Crucial point. Life happens. If you miss a session, don't just throw the whole plan out. Acknowledge it, maybe adjust things slightly for the rest of the week, and get right back on track with the next scheduled thing. Progress, not perfection.
Progress, not perfection. I like that.
It's the mantra.
And build in celebration, even for finishing tasks.
Yes. Integrate it into the plan. When you finish a tricky task or complete a week of practice as planned, acknowledge it. That positive reinforcement feeds right back into that motivation cycle we talked about.
So the action plan takes your SMART goal from just a destination to a fully mapped out journey. Gives you the steps, the schedule, the tools, makes it easier to just start.
Exactly. Knowing what you need to do next removes so much friction.
So the call to action here is break down your goal into smaller steps for this week, schedule them, find tools to help. Every scheduled, completed task is a win.
And speaking of making the journey, well, less lonely and more sustainable, you really don't have to do this all by yourself. The sources really hammer home the power of accountability and support systems.
Yeah, trying to achieve something big totally alone, it can be really tough. Motivation goes up and down, challenges feel bigger. It's easy to just let things slide when no one's watching. But telling someone else your goal or working with others, that creates this external force that kind of keeps you showing up.
Exactly. Sharing your goal creates accountability. Just knowing a friend or family member or maybe a group knows what you're aiming for and might ask about it. That provides a little nudge. You're accountable not just to yourself.
And a support system is more than just accountability, right? It's encouragement, sharing tips, knowing you're not the only one struggling with, say, irregular verbs.
Absolutely. It's connection. The sources suggest different ways this can look. A study buddy is simple, but effective. Someone with a similar goal you check in with, practice with, motivate each other.
Online communities too, forums, places focused on English learning, or even specific things like exam prep or business English. Great for asking questions, sharing wins, getting tips.
Working with a teacher or tutor gives you that personalized guidance, but also that built-in accountability. Scheduled lessons mean you're much less likely to skip practice.
True. And language exchange partners great for low-pressure practice, cultural exchange, plus it's mutual accountability. They need your help too.
The key, really, is finding what fits you. Your personality, your needs. One person, a big group, formal, informal. Choose something that makes you feel supported and, seen.
And tips for making it work. Be clear about your goals with them, schedule regular check-ins, maybe weekly chats or quick messages, share the good and the bad, and offer support back.
Learning is a journey, right? And shared journeys are usually easier, more fun, and often more successful. Don't feel you have to be a solo hero. Tap into the power of community.
Yeah, don't underestimate just having someone ask, hey, how's that English practice going? Or share, oh yeah, I found that grammar point tricky too. Normalizes the struggle, reinforces your commitment.
And this links right into another vital piece, the absolute need for tracking progress and celebrating wins. These aren't just nice-to-haves. They're fundamental for keeping momentum, especially long-term.
Tracking, like we said, makes your effort visible. It turns that vague feeling of I'm trying hard into actual proof. Look, I did this and this and this. shows you how far you've come, which is super motivating when the end still feels far away.
A simple checklist or habit tracker works wonders. Daily or weekly tasks. Learn 10 words. Tick. Did 15 minutes listening. Tick. Seeing that chain of ticks builds visual proof of your consistency.
A learning journal, too, jotting down what you studied, new phrases, challenges, little victories, writing it down, maybe even in English, reinforces it and creates a record.
And of course, digital tools. Lots of language apps have built-in streaks and progress charts. Spreadsheets work, dedicated habit apps. Find what works for you to log your actions and see that effort adding up.
The key is making tracking part of the routine, right? Even if it's just 60 seconds a day.
Yes, non-negotiable. That moment of recording reinforces the habit and makes your progress undeniable.
Okay, now celebrating wins. The sources really stress this, and specifically celebrating the small wins, not just the huge milestones.
Right. Why? Because the big wins can be months apart. Motivation needs consistent positive feedback. Hitting a small daily goal, finishing a week of planned practice, it might seem tiny, but it is a win. Your brain needs that recognition.
That checklist filled out, that mini task done, that's a success signal.
A small win could be using a new phrase successfully, understanding a sentence you didn't get before, finishing your study session even when you were tired, getting a practice question right. These moments deserve acknowledgement.
And celebrating doesn't mean throwing a party every time.
No, it could just be a mental high five. A note in your journal. Nailed that vocab practice. Telling your study buddy, putting on your favorite song, a few minutes of guilt-free relaxation. A small treat. The point is to consciously register the accomplishment and feel good about it.
Sharing those wins with your support system probably helps too.
Definitely. Their recognition boosts the positive feeling. Reflect on why it was important, how it moves you closer to the bigger goal.
And celebrating small wins is extra important during those plateaus, right? When progress feels stalled.
Absolutely critical then. When the big results aren't obvious, celebrating the consistent effort just showing up keeps you in the game. It reminds you that consistency itself is a win.
So tracking shows you the journey so far. Celebrating makes the journey feel rewarding, a positive feedback loop.
Your effort is real. Your progress is happening, even if you can't always see it clearly day to day. Every step forward deserves that moment of recognition.
Speaking of those times you can't see it, what happens when you have been tracking, you have been showing up, but it just feels like you're stuck, hitting a plateau?
Plateaus. They're so common, and the sources definitely acknowledge they are major motivation killers. They happen for lots of reasons. Sometimes your brain's just consolidating stuff before the next leap. Sometimes your methods need shaking up. Sometimes it's just normal variation. They are not a sign you failed.
But they sure feel like failure. You're doing the work, but the results aren't obvious like they were maybe at the beginning.
The key insight from the material for getting through plateaus is to try and fall in love with the process itself, not just the outcome. Shift your focus from that distant goal to finding satisfaction in the daily act of learning and practicing. Can you find value in understanding one complex sentence today, even if you didn't have a big breakthrough?
That's a powerful reframe. So your motivation isn't solely tied to seeing massive results. It comes from just engaging with the learning.
Right. And some practical tips from the sources for tackling plateaus. Maybe adjust your goals temporarily. Set even smaller micro goals for a week or two, just to get some quick, easy wins and rebuild momentum.
Okay.
Change your method. If listening practice feels stagnant, try a different type of audio, or switch focus to reading for a bit. If grammar drills are boring you to tears, try a gamified app, or focus on using just one grammar point correctly in conversation. Variety can inject new life.
Reconnect with your why, too, right? Remind yourself why you started this whole thing. Look back at your initial motivation, that long-term vision. Revisiting the purpose can reignite that fire.
And be patient and kind to yourself. This isn't a race. Plateaus are normal. Try to avoid negative self-talk or comparing your progress to others. See it as a challenge to adapt and keep going, not a reason to quit.
And lean on your support system during this time.
Definitely. Talk to your study buddy or group about the frustration. They might have ideas, offer encouragement, or just provide the comfort of knowing others go through this too.
And keep tracking and celebrating those small wins, even more important during a plateau. Celebrating just completing a practice session at all is a win then. It reinforces the habit of showing up. Tracking might show you you're still being consistent, even if the skill level feels flat for a bit.
Plateaus are where you build resilience. They test your commitment to the process. By trusting the system, staying engaged, being patient, you will eventually break through.
It's about patience and finding value in the effort, not just the immediate, visible results.
Exactly.
Nothing really brings all this theory to life like seeing how it works for real people. The sources had a couple of great, inspiring stories about people using these principles for English.
Yeah, the stories of Maria and James were good examples. Maria working full-time, family commitments, wanted to improve her English for her career. The big goal felt huge, probably overwhelming.
So she broke it down.
Right, a specific outcome goal. Have a simple 5-minute conversation in 3 months. Then she made it actionable with process goals, learn X words per week, practice pronunciation for Y minutes daily, and crucially, she joined an online English group for support and practice.
And she tracked it.
Used a checklist for her daily tasks. It wasn't always easy, busy days, tired, finding time was hard, but by focusing on those small daily process goals and ticking them off, she built consistency. And she used her online group for support.
And after 3 months,
She had that 5-minute conversation. Wasn't perfect, she said, but it was a real, tangible result of her consistent effort. She celebrated that win, saw her progress, and used it to set her next goal. Her story really shows how realistic, broken-down goals plus consistent, tracked action works.
Okay, and then James. His main thing was speaking confidence, right? He knew stuff but froze up.
Yeah, his goal was partly skill, partly mindset. Get comfortable speaking for about 15 minutes.
How do you approach it?
Small, low-pressure steps first. Practicing speaking just by himself. Recording his voice to get used to hearing it. Watching movies and repeating lines out loud for fluency. Tackling the fear gradually.
And he got support too.
Yes, he added accountability by joining a weekly online conversation class. A structured, supportive place where he felt safer practicing and making mistakes.
So through consistent effort focused on both the skill pronunciation, fluency, and the mindset getting comfortable, practicing in a group, he built confidence.
Exactly. The sources mention that after about 6 months, he had this unplanned 20-minute chat with a tourist, a huge breakthrough for him. The anxiety wasn't gone, but his consistent practice and support system built enough skill and self-trust to push through.
James's story really highlights how goals can tackle both skills and mindset, and how important support is, especially for internal barriers like fear.
Both Marie and James show that hitting big goals isn't about some magic talent or waiting for inspiration. It's about applying these principles. Clear, achievable goals, breaking them down, consistent action, tracking progress, getting support, and pushing through challenges.
Their stories show it's not just theory, it's a proven path.
They started where maybe you are right now with a desire, some information, and they turned it into real progress. You absolutely can too.
Okay, so that was our deep dive into unlocking your potential through effective goal setting, using the key insights from the material you provided. We've really unpacked what goals are those specific, measurable, time-bound targets, very different from just vague dreams or intentions.
We looked at the why, how goals give you direction, and how action actually creates motivation, tapping into your brain's dopamine reward system for progress.
We explored powerful frameworks like SMART specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound to help you craft effective goals and avoid those common mistakes, like being too vague or unrealistic.
And we got practical. Building a concrete action plan by breaking goals down and scheduling tasks, using mental tools like visualization and affirmations to build belief, leveraging accountability and support, and using tracking and celebrating small wins as fuel.
And we talked about getting through those inevitable plateaus by focusing on the process, staying patient, and being adaptable.
The core message, really, running through all the material, seems to be this: achieving your goals. It's less about the outcome itself and much more about the process. The clear steps you define, the consistency you build, the habits you form, the support you find. It's about the method, not some kind of magic.
So here's the challenge for you listening. Don't just let this information float away. The best next step. Take action. Like right now. Set one SMART goal based on something you want to achieve, maybe related to your English learning.
Make it specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Something concrete, manageable. Think about those examples. Learn 10 new words each week for the next month, or practice speaking for 5 minutes every day for the next 2 weeks, or finish one module of my online grammar course this week.
Write it down. Seriously. Tell one person about it. Schedule that first action step, even if it's tiny. Believe in the process and believe in yourself. You've got the tools.
And to use that great analogy from the sources one last time.
If goals are your dreams with their shoes on, ready to start walking.
What tiny step are you willing to take today to lace up those shoes and start moving towards your biggest dream?